The United States Marine Corps is a relatively small branch, but has a reputation of a fierce fighting force. Beyond their traditional roles, the Marines also have several elite operation units. Two of these units are Marsoc and Force Recon. These elite fighters are alike, yet distinct in many ways. In this episode, we'll try and find out the differences between these two forces. The Force Recon, or Forecon, is basically the Marines' eyes and ears. They're trained to infiltrate far behind enemy lines, even deeper than the Marine Division Recon Battalions, to gather critical intel. They can conduct direct action, like close quarters combat and breaching. And they know how to get in and out of places using static line parachuting, scuba, and freefall. While Marsoc, or Marine Raiders, are like the Marines' super special ops team. They can do everything Force Recon does, but they also specialize in foreign internal defense. They're trained to operate in other countries, speak multiple languages, and train local militia. Marsoc is part of SOCOM, the military's top secret special operations command, and they get a lot of funding from them. So basically, Force Recon is focused on reconnaissance and supporting the Marines, while Marsoc is a more general purpose special operations unit that's part of a bigger organization. Now let's talk about a brief history. It's very intertwined, and that's why it's confusing. Back in World War II, the Marines were like, hey, we need this special, small team kind of unit to do amphibious raids and recon. So they created these Raider battalions. It was the first special operations unit in the military. After the war, the Raider battalions disbanded. But then, in Korea, they realized they needed another unit like that. So they created the Recon Company, which eventually turned into Force Recon. Then, in the 80s, the military created SOCOM, a special operations command. The Marines joined SOCOM with their own special operations command called Marsoc. They took the best of the best from their recon units and created these Marine Raider battalions again. Forecon handles deep or long-range reconnaissance and some direct action missions, but most of the immediate action tasks now fall under Marsoc. This shift allows Force Recon to focus more on intelligence gathering. Although not part of the U.S. Special Operations Command, they're still known for being highly versatile across all tactical areas. Force Recon also trains with Marsoc. Forecon carries out two types of missions: green and black operations. Green operations are their primary focus, involving the collection of critical military intelligence by observing and reporting enemy activities. They use a mix of amphibious and ground reconnaissance. They operate farther inland than their division recon counterparts, often beyond the reach of artillery or naval gunfire support. Stealth is essential, and a single shot fired can signal mission failure. Their tasks include pre-D-Day and post-assault reconnaissance, battle damage assessments, remote sensor operations, and setting up landing and drop zones for forward bases. Black operations involve direct action missions, where Force Recon goes on the offensive, actively seeking out targets. Unlike green operations, these missions often take place within the range of artillery and naval gunfire. Examples include seizing and occupying gas or oil platforms, boarding and searching ships during maritime interdiction, and coordinating close air support. Force Recon also acts as the forward observers from hidden positions for artillery and naval strikes. On the other hand, leading Marine Corps, Special Operations, Marine Raiders shine in various roles including direct action, unconventional warfare, maritime interdiction, special reconnaissance, foreign internal defense, counterterrorism, and counterinsurgency. In direct action raids, they use their offensive skills to precisely capture or neutralize targets. For further reconnaissance, they operate deep behind enemy lines to gather crucial intelligence. In foreign internal defense, Raiders enhance partner nations' capabilities by training and advising their forces. Their counterterrorism efforts focus on disrupting and dismantling terrorist groups. They also excel in information warfare, using strategic communications and deception to outmaneuver enemies. Recently, Marine Raiders have made a mark in on-the-ground cyber warfare, adding a new dimension to their expertise. To qualify for Force Recon, you must be a U.S. citizen, score at least 105 on the GT, and be a first-class swimmer. You'll also need a first-class score on the PFT and meet vision requirements of 2200 or better. You'll need to complete the Marine Rifleman course and have a military occupational specialty designation. Graduating from the basic reconnaissance course is essential, and volunteers from any MOS can qualify for the AMOS certification through Recon Unit Commanders after 6 months of specific training. A secret security clearance is a must, along with selection and graduation from the Marine Special Operations School. Their training is divided into several phases, with candidates learning both individual and unit skills in recon, surveillance, and combat diving. They also complete courses like Basic Airborne, Multi-Mission Parachute, and Scout Sniper training. In addition, Forecon candidates undergo 6 months of Special Operations training before deployment. To become a Raider, you'll need to meet a few key requirements. First, you must be able to obtain a secret clearance. Your GT score needs to be at least 105, and you should have no more than 2 NJPs on your current enlistment. Passing the swim assessment is also a must. You'll go through a medical screening, and you shouldn't have more than 18 months of TIG as a sergeant. The selection process has 2 phases. Phase 1 tests your endurance and resilience with a 3-week course involving PFT score of 235, a 300-meter swim, an 11-minute tread, a 12-mile ruck march, and a physical fitness test. Phase 2 is a comprehensive evaluation to ensure only the top candidates advance. If you make the cut, then you'll move on to the military occupational specialty. After selection, candidates move on to a 9-month training course that turns Marines into critical skills operators, CSOs. The first 10 weeks build the basics, followed by 8 weeks focused on teamwork. You'll go through 5 weeks of intense close combat training, then 7 weeks preparing for all sorts of fights. The final 10 weeks are spent learning a new language. In addition, you'll master survival, evasion, resistance, and escape, SEER techniques, and pick up vital medical skills. The course covers combat marksmanship, close quarters battle, and demolitions, with a strong focus on urban combat and special reconnaissance. This is just a snapshot of how Raiders become top-notch warriors. There are 3 active Force Recon companies under the control of the Marine Expeditionary Force. Each company has 5 to 6 platoons, and each platoon includes 3 reconnaissance teams. The standard recon team consists of 6 men. Leading the team is the point man, who carries the lightest load and scouts the best route through the terrain. He's trained to spot IEDs, enemy patrols, and anything that could compromise the team. Following the team leader is the radio operator, responsible for communications, and then the assistant radio operator. Next is the slack man, usually the junior member, who acts as the team's pack mule, carrying extra batteries, ammo, and sometimes heavy weapons. Lastly, there's an assistant team leader, in charge of security and making sure no one strays. Marsoc organizes its raiders into the Marine Raider Regiment, which consists of 3 battalions and 1 headquarters company. Each battalion is further split into Marine Special Operations companies and then Marine Special Operations teams, MSOT. A single MSOT is made up of 14 Marines. At the top is the team commander, a captain, with the team chief, a master sergeant, right alongside. The communications SNCO makes sure all information is shared smoothly and accurately. Each MSOT is divided into 2 tactical elements, each led by a gunnery sergeant who directs the team on the ground. Each element also includes 3 critical skills operators for specialized tasks and a corpsman who serves as the team's medic. The Force Recon requires specialized gear for their missions, which often involves parachuting and underwater insertions. Their equipment depends on the mission, either black or green operations. For green operations, gear includes cameras, scopes, and communication equipment. In black operations, focused on close quarters combat, they carry grenades, carbines, submachine guns, and breaching tools. They may also use laser designators to paint targets for precision strikes. Marine Raiders are equipped with the latest high-tech gear. They use advanced GPS helmets, night vision goggles, and body armor. And the firepower? They've got it all. Starting with the Mk18 SBR carbine and the trusty Glock 19 pistol. If there's a weapon or gadget that can give them an edge, you can bet they have it. This is just a glimpse into the missions, selections, and training differences of Force Recon and Marsoc Marine Raiders. These Marines are like the Americans' go-to force for anything from raids to search and rescue. Let us know if you get the chance and which unit you'll be joining.